Imagine a story that starts with a person full of dreams, but ends in a great mystery that leaves everyone scared and worried. This is the story of Eliza, a young woman who just wanted to live. One day, she met someone very famous, goalkeeper Bruno, and thought she had found a chance to be happy. But after a while, things took a dark and dangerous turn. In a moment, Eliza disappeared, and no one knew where she had gone. Investigations began, friends and even people very close to Bruno were involved, and shocking secrets began to emerge. What happened to Eliza? How did things get to this tragic point? This story made a lot of people think about what we can do to protect people who are in danger, and how important it is to listen and act in time. Continue with the video to discover more details about this shocking case, and while you're at it, make sure you're subscribed to the channel to have access to more content like this. Grab your popcorn, sit in your chair, and here comes the story. In 2009, Eliza Samudio met Bruno, a Flamengo goalkeeper who was beginning to stand out in football, during a barbecue in Rio de Janeiro. They got involved quickly, and some time later, Eliza discovered she was pregnant. When telling Bruno about the pregnancy, he reacted negatively and refused to assume paternity of the baby. Bruno pressured Eliza to have an abortion and threatened her in various ways, insisting that she make this decision. Furthermore, Bruno even said that he would kill Eliza's family if she decided to go ahead with the pregnancy and tried to report him. Despite the threats, Eliza wanted to protect her son and guarantee his rights, deciding not to give in to Bruno's pressure. Eliza was very concerned about her safety and that of her son. She had already faced many threats from Bruno, and knew she needed help to protect herself. One day, Eliza decided to go to the police. When she arrived at the police station, she told her everything that was happening. She explained Bruno's threats, and said she was afraid of what could happen if nothing was done. Eliza then asked for a protective measure, which is like a letter of security, which prohibits the attacker from approaching the person or harming them, but for Eliza, it was a huge disappointment to hear the answer. The police said they could not help her with the protective order because she and Bruno did not have a formal relationship, such as a marriage. This seemed very unfair to Eliza as she was being attacked and threatened regardless of whether they were married or not. She needed protection, but it seemed like the rules weren't on her side. This was very painful for Eliza, as she knew she was at risk and didn't know what else to do to ensure her safety and that of her unborn child. She felt like the system was failing her, leaving her alone in the face of so many threats. What Eliza wanted most at that moment was for someone to listen to her story and help her, but she found herself in a difficult situation, where, despite everything that was happening, the support she needed so much did not appear. Bruno had many friends, but one of his closest was Luis Enrique Romeo, who everyone called Macareo. They were great friends and did a lot of things together. Macareo helped Bruno with his money, took care of his finances and was even by his side when he needed someone. But over time, things started to get complicated. People began to realize that Bruno and Macareo were also involved in things that were not very clear, and this made many uncomfortable. Furthermore, Bruno did not have a good relationship with everyone around him. His wife, Diane, was also struggling. She used to say that Bruno was a very egocentric person, that is, he thought much more about himself than about others. For Diane, this was very difficult. She felt alone because he didn't treat her with the attention and affection she deserved, and things didn't stop there. Bruno was also not faithful to Diane. He had several relationships outside of marriage, which caused the trust between them to be destroyed. Diane was very sad and hurt, and began to realize that the man she married was not the person she imagined. Thus, Bruno's life was full of complicated relationships. His friends, like Macareo, were there for him, but they also helped with things that didn't feel right. His wife was distant, no longer able to trust him. Bruno found himself in a tangle of betrayals, lies and selfish attitudes that alienated the people he loved most. He was surrounded by people who, instead of helping him, contributed to making everything more confusing and difficult. On one occasion, Bruno and his friends called Eliza to go to a place where she could talk to him about the future of the child she was expecting. They said it would be an opportunity to set the record straight about paternity. Eliza, hoping that things could get better, decided to go there. But what she didn't know was that this was a trap. They started attacking her. The attacks started inside the car. She tried to defend herself, entering into a fight with one of those involved in the crime. this fight was responsible for the blood later found inside the car. In 2010, Eliza went to visit Bruno's farm, which was in Minas Gerais, to see if she could resolve everything at once. She was trying to secure a future for her son and wanted Bruno to help. But after that visit, Eliza simply disappeared. No one knew where she was, and people started to get worried. The police were called to investigate, and when they arrived at Bruno's place, they found some very strange things. They found baby belongings, such as clothes and objects that Eliza had taken for her son. There were also photos of the child at the scene. These objects were a clue that Eliza and her son had been there, but the mystery remained. Where was Eliza? The police investigated extensively and tried to put all the pieces together, but were unsuccessful in finding Eliza's body. This made the search increasingly difficult, as, without more evidence, it seemed that the mystery would never be solved. Bruno's friend, Macareo, after spending time in jail, could no longer bear to hide the facts and decided to confess that he helped take Eliza to Bruno's farm and that she was kept there, as if she were a prisoner, without power to go out. He said that she was attacked and that former police officer Marcos Aparecido dos Santos, called Bola, was involved and would be responsible for hurting her even more. These revelations shocked everyone and made the case even sadder, as people close to Bruno were involved, and the accusations showed how Eliza had been treated in a very cruel way. The investigation continued, with the police seeking to gather all the information to understand exactly what had happened to Eliza. After the investigation, the courts decided that Macareo, Bruno's friend, and the former police officer Bola were guilty of everything that happened to Eliza. Macareo was convicted, but received a lesser sentence because he ended up cooperating in telling the police more about the case. Bola was also convicted, but mainly for hiding what happened to Eliza. Despite this, he always says that he did not participate and that he is innocent, even if the evidence shows otherwise. This part of the case is full of twists and turns, because each person involved received their sentence, but some continue to deny what they did. Bruno was sentenced to 22 years in prison for everything that happened to Eliza. But, in 2017, the court decided to reduce the time he would have to spend in prison. In some interviews, Bruno says that the story has more details that he has not yet told. He suggests that he has secrets about what really happened and that perhaps he hasn't revealed everything yet. But instead of telling everyone, he says he will only share these secrets with two people, the son he had with Eliza and her mother. Thus, he leaves a sense of mystery about everything that happened, and many still wonder what else he knows. And to this day, Eliza's body has not been found, leaving the case without a conclusion. It was not possible to know the cause of death and other information that would only be clarified if the body was found. Eliza Samudio's story was very sad and made many people in Brazil think about how to better protect people. When everything happened, many people were worried about the fact that Eliza had asked for help several times before disappearing, but was unable to get protection. She had told the authorities that she was being threatened, but even so, no one was able to prevent what happened. This case made people realize that the protection system for those in danger, especially for women who suffer threats and attacks, was not working well. And it also made Brazil think about how important it is to deal with cases in which famous, powerful or rich people use their influence to escape the consequences of their actions. After Eliza's case, more conversations began to emerge about changing the laws and making the system safer to protect those in danger. It was a time of a lot of reflection and mobilization, and today, more people know how important it is to listen and help those who are trying to protect themselves. This helped bring more awareness and made more people come together to try to improve laws and protect those in need. Even after so many years, the disappearance of Eliza's body and the unresolved issues surrounding the case remain a symbol of injustice and a warning about violence against women in the country.